I'll just let a couple of people in, and then we'll just start.
Oh, sorry. I know there we are. My colleague's coming now, Kaylee as well. There we are.
It's okay. Fiona, do I make you co-host?
Oh, yeah. And if you can with Kaylee, because she's got the presentation, that'd be great.
Okay, that's fine.
Here we are.
Hi, Kaylee. How are you? I think. Are you muted?
I think she's. Are you on mute, Kales?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah, we can hear you now, yeah.
Hey, so Kaylee and Fiona are from International Campus Life. So they will be taking us through the first agenda, which is on immigration policies, what's next. I'm happy for you to take the floor and start now, Kaylee and Fiona. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. So we've got a short presentation for you, so I'll just share my screen. There you go. Can you see that okay, Theresa?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we're just going to talk you through some of the different options for employment when you are a student and when you finish university. And Fiona will take you through some of the immigration changes that have happened recently as well. Okay, so on a campus life. So we're a team within student services, and we help students and their families with all non-academic problems. So we fully trained immigration advisors, and we'll assist you with any queries about being an international student in the UK. We also run a range of social activities that you can get involved with, and lots of these are online at the moment. And there's just a picture of the team. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is Brexit and EEA students, and a few points on employment. So from the 1st of January this year, it's now mandatory for any new arrivals in the UK to apply for immigration. So either to come here, or if you entered without a visa, you now need to apply to stay in the UK. So the type of visa you will apply for will depend on how long you will be here and what course you will be studying. But in general, there are now the student route for courses that are 6 months or longer, and standard visitor visa for courses that are less than 6 months. So if you were a resident in the UK before the end of the Brexit transition period, so that was the 30th of December, then you can still protect your rights without having to apply for actual student route by applying to the EU settlement scheme. And there's a deadline of the 30th of June for this. So if you were in the UK before December the 30th, and you are an EU EEA citizen, then you can still apply for the EUSS up until the 30th of June this year. We advise you to put this on your CV. So if you have applied for EUSS, then it's good to put this on your CV when you're applying for jobs. Once you've applied, you'll either be granted pre-settled or settled status. And for more information, we've got our web pages, and also the UKISA website is great as well. Okay, so just a little note on the working conditions on your visas. So as you will see on the screen, there's a picture of a biometric residence permit and a visa vignette. So If you have a BRP, you can find your working conditions at the bottom of the card, and on your vignette, which is standard visit visa or short-term student visa, you'll also find that it'll tell you about the work on there. Okay, so the working conditions are dependent on the level of your study. So if you're under degree levels, doing foundation or pre-sessional, for example, then you're permitted to work 10 hours per week maximum, and this is during term time. If you're studying undergrad at degree level or above, you can work 20 hours per week maximum, and again, this is during term time. So in vacation periods, you can work full time, and this is during your visa start date and expiry date, so between those times. The definition, so a week is any 7-day period starting on a Monday. Term time is the period when you are expected to be studying, and vacation time is the period when your Tier 4 sponsor, which is Swansea University, does not require you to be studying. So please note that the term times and the vacation periods vary for different levels. So if you're undergrad, masters or PhD, and also it will depend on your course. So please check with your college for the published dates for term time and vacations. Okay, there are some restrictions on student visas with regards to work. So you cannot be self-employed or start a business. You can't work as a professional sports person, which includes being a coach. You can't work as an entertainer, actor, musician or dancer, etc. Again, unless you're on a certain course. And you can't accept a permanent full-time job unless you have another type of work visa. And you cannot work as a doctor or a dentist in training, again, unless you're on the specific foundation program, which you'd have a different visa for this. Okay, so in terms of work placements, so these are a great way of obtaining work experience in the UK, especially if you're not able to find another job. So the work placements must be be an assessed part of your course. You can spend a certain amount of your course on a work placement depending on the level of study. They can be paid or unpaid, and they can be full-time even during term time. You can still work up to 10 to 20 hours per week, depending on what your visa says, as well as doing your placement. And if you want to do a placement, please talk to your school or college. And please keep in mind that you may need to extend your student visa if you do add a work placement to your course. So once you've had a chat with your school or college, if they then tell you that you need additional time on your visa, you can come to speak to us and we'll help you with that. So work placements and internships that are not an assessed part of your course must be done only during vacation periods if they are full-time, because they are then classed as working, so they are subject to the restrictions on your visa. Okay, you can also do some volunteering while you're studying. So student visa holders are able to volunteer while they study, and this is another great way of adding value to your CV. However, there are distinctions between the type of work that you can do. So volunteering, there is no contract of employment. You're not taking the place of a paid employee. You do not receive payment, and it's usually to help out a charity. But then voluntary work, this counts towards your 10 to 20 hours of work restrictions, because often with voluntary work there is a contract and you're limited to a set number of hours. If you are on a short-term student or standard visitor visa, then I'm afraid you can't do any voluntary work. If you do want to volunteer in your own time, then speak to Discovery, who are the charity based on campus. They work closely with us, so they'll be able to give you good advice on what you can and can't do within the guidelines of your visa. Okay. So I'm just going to pass you over to Fiona now, and she'll go through some immigration updates with you.
Oh, hiya. Yes, so thanks, Kaylee. So yeah, there's lots of information there about like the working while you're studying. So I'm going to go through now sort of the options for you when you finish your studies and the different type of visa routes you can then go on to. But before I go through that, there have been quite a lot of changes in a lot of immigration updates. So I just wanted to sort of just do a little sort of brief, just go through this slide with you of what's been the major changes, because there has been quite a lot. And obviously because of the current situation we're in as well, we've had lots of different concessions that have that the UKVI have introduced. But the main changes, so as of October 2020, so the Tier 4 route that many will you'll apply for when you're studying has now become the student route. It's very similar to the Tier 4 general student route, and it still requires a CAS, and the work restrictions that Kay was talking about, the same applies. But if you see that wording, so lots of people still be on the Tier 4 possibly studying, that's still the same, but they've changed the word, and there are slight changes in documents required, and certain changes that they've put in there. Then the short-term student route. So this has become for students now who want to study English language of courses between 6 to 11 months. So for this visa, it's mainly now just for the English language courses. And again, there's still no work permitted as it comes under that short-term visitor route. So there's no work allowed. And the visitor route is for students wishing to study courses of 6 months or less, and no work permitted again. So there's changes around how the visitor route has now become, and you apply under one main route, and you can study for courses that are 6 months or less. Okay, like Kaylee was saying, the other change then is from the 31st of December 2020. So that was the deadline for EEA and Swiss nationals to move to the UK, and the right of free movement under EU law. And what Kaylee was talking about is that you can apply for the EU settlement scheme, and the deadline for that is the 30th of June. So if you've come to the UK by 31st of December, you can apply for that scheme. And then the other change, which I'll talk about as I go through the slides, is that it's called now the Tier 2, which was the general working visa, has now been renamed, and there are some changes to it. It's now called the new skilled worker. So it's for sponsored skilled worker route, which has replaced the Tier 2, and that is very new. That only came in on the 1st of December 2020. It includes some changes, but they're mostly beneficial and helpful for students who want to work after studies. So I'll talk briefly about that as we go through the different options. Okay, and then the other big thing that's happening is in summer 2021. We haven't got a date yet that's to be confirmed. We just know that it's summertime. The new two-year graduate immigration route is due to open, and I'm going to talk more about that. We haven't got all the information, but I'll tell you what we know as of now. And then what that will have an impact on is the current doctorate extension scheme, which is known as the DES, is expected to close because it will merge with this graduate route. So for PhD students who can apply for the doctorate extension scheme, it gives you an extra year to find employment. Well, now PhD graduates will get 3 years under the graduate route. So it's merging with that, and you get longer. Okay. Okay, so what are the options when from student visa or Tier 4, and what you can switch into? So like I mentioned, the doctorate extension scheme, which is still currently running and open. So this is for PhD students and other doctorate qualifications who've almost finished their course. And it gives students an additional 12 months to remain in the UK, and you can find work. You must have existing student leave to apply, and you can only apply in the UK. So that's the important thing with that, is you can't apply outside the UK. You can work without the usual Tier 4 restrictions, except for doctor or dentist in training, or a professional sports personal coach. And you can work as a self-employed person as well under this scheme. Now with this scheme, as I said, this is expected to close and it'll merge with the graduate route. And then PhD graduates will get the 3 years permission instead of the 1 year. Okay, so then there's a student union sabbatical officer. And this allows you to stay in the UK and you're under the student leave if you've been elected to a full-time post and you're a registered student. You're not expected to be studying while you work, and then you can also apply to extend up to a 2-year maximum if re-elected. So if anyone is interested in that, you just let us know and we can support you in that. And then what I wanted to talk about mainly today, I suppose, is the graduate immigration route. Like I said, we don't know as of when in summer 2021 it's going to be launched, but we just know we've been told it's summer 2021. We don't also have all the policies and what will be required when you apply. We haven't got all that information. And unfortunately, we often don't get that information from the UKVI till possibly the day that it is launched. And that's what's happened with a lot of new rules. We sort of get the information on the date that things change. So what I can give today now is some information on what we know so far. Okay, so they've announced the intention of launching a 2-year or 3-year for PhD graduates visa from summer 2021. And we haven't got that date as of yet, but it'll provide international students with the opportunity to stay in the UK, to live and work, or to look for work after they graduate. And it's our understanding that majority of students who start a course in 2020 should be able to apply for this visa, but we're lacking full details of exactly what's involved with it. Okay, so anyone who's completing a standard undergraduate, postgraduate or PhD course who's due to graduate any time after summer 2021 would be able to apply. So what I would keep advising is to check our webpage, because what we're doing is when we get any new updates about this or any of the visas, we put it on our web pages. So I've got our web page there, and also the UKISA website, which has a lot of updates, and it's really good actually in how it explains the different visas UKISA. So I've put that link in there as well. Okay. So this route is for students with Tier 4 or, like I've said now, which is now known as the student route visa, who will complete a degree in or after summer of 2021. So undergraduate and master's degree students, they'll be able to apply and have 2 years, and PhD students will be able to apply and stay for 3 years. It won't be possible to extend this type of permission, but it'd be possible to switch into another route if you meet the requirements. So if you find work and you're working on this visa, then you can possibly then switch into another route, like the skilled worker route, when it's coming to an end. There isn't a requirement to show you have a certain amount of money, which is known as the maintenance requirement, which you often have with your student visa, or need to demonstrate English language ability, because you will have had that from being able to demonstrate that from your degree or postgrad. Graduates whose dependents are already with them in the UK will be allowed to continue sponsoring family members who make an application for further leave at the same time. So if you do have family here who are here as dependents, then from what we've been told so far, it means that they can also stay as your dependents. But if you haven't already got family here, again, we haven't got the full details, but it looks like that they won't be able to apply for this then with you. They need to have been with you while you're studying as a student, and they're your dependents. And there is an application fee, and you do need to pay the immigration health surcharge. And the same with the no resource to public funds applies as well. Okay. Okay, so yeah, they've got lots of information on here because things are coming in all the time about, especially the fact that with all the COVID restrictions and travel and remote studying, we're getting information because there's lots of questions about this, you know, about when they apply, when do you have to come here, and when do you have to be in the UK to be able to apply for it. So I've put some information here, and I'll just go through it now because there's quite a lot. The graduate route will be open to international students who've had valid leave as a Tier 4 or as a student at the time of application, who've completed a degree at undergraduate level or above, and it has to be at a UK higher education provider with a track record of compliance that they've granted that leave. So Swansea University would come under that. So you must have completed the course which was stated on the CAS. So what you're studying, you need to have completed what course was on your CAS. And that would be your last student visa or your Tier 4 visa. Again, we're not quite sure on this, how much, you know, it'll be strict that it has to be the course that's on your CAS. So it could be that you've transferred course, there's a slight change in the course. We don't know all the information on that yet, so we can't answer those questions. But obviously we'll update things when we know. And applicants must have completed the entirety of their degree in the UK, except for permitted study abroad programmes, or when distant learning has been necessary due to COVID-19. So this is where the UKVI have now given a little bit more information about this. So because there's been a lot of remote learning and students haven't been able to be in the UK, what we've been told so far is that any students who are due to complete their course in 2021, including those who started a one-year master's course, whether in the UK or blended remote learning in September 2020, must be present and studying in the UK by the 6th of April 2021 to be eligible for the graduate route. So the requirement is, if you started September, you need to be, and your course date was September, whether you've been studying or, you know, remotely or in the UK, you would need to be here by 6th of April and need to complete their final semester of study within the UK. And then any student who has started a one-year master's course in January, so this January 2021, must be present and studying in the UK by the 27th of September 2021, and then complete their final semester in the UK. So you'd need to check the semester dates with your college to ensure that you know when your final semester starts and that you're in the UK before that final semester. Now, this is the up-to-date that we've got at the moment. I mean, the situation, as you know, with everything with COVID-19 is ever-changing, but this is what we've got at the moment. Okay, so I've just got a little tick box here of the requirements for the graduate immigration route. So what we know so far, so you would need to pay the appropriate fee and health surcharge when you apply, have valid and extant leave as a student at the point of application, be sponsored by a UK higher education provider with a track record of compliance as a student at the time of application. You will need to have successfully completed a degree at undergraduate level or above, and the course must be the one for where their latest CAS was assigned. And the HEP must confirm the applicant meets the requirements, so the university must confirm you meet those requirements. You must have undertaken all study in the UK. Those who complete parts of their course overseas as part of study abroad or have studied part of their course outside due to COVID-19 will also be permitted to apply. You must not have previously been granted leave under the graduate route, and you need permission to remain in the UK under the graduate route from their sponsoring body if they've been studying on a government scholarship. So that's if you've been sponsored, you'd need just the permission from the sponsor that you can remain in the UK. You need to meet minimum suitability requirements, including passing security, identity and criminality checks. And if you required an ATAS for your course and you needed this, then it might be that you'll need that for undertaking supplementary study. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of information there. Again, it's not everything because we don't know what exactly the policy will say yet, but that's for the graduate route. Okay, so then I'm just going to talk a little bit about other visa routes. And again, I'm not going to go into lots of detail with these, but I'll give you a link to where you can find more information. The one that I'm going to talk a little bit more about is the one that's recently changed, which is the Tier 2 working visa, which is now changed into the skilled worker route. So I'll talk a little bit more, but just to give you a bit of an overview. So there are options. There's a Tier 1, which is known as there's an entrepreneur, innovator, investor, and then there's the startup, which replaced the graduate entrepreneur. And these visas are all about, so if you're looking at, you wanted to set up your own business. So if you're anything, anything where you're interested in setting up your own business, then it's worth looking more about these. And at the end, I've put the link to the UKISA website, which again will explain more about the requirements of these. But the key one for students here would be, if you're interested in a business, it would be the startup, which has replaced the graduate entrepreneur. And then the one I've talked about, and I'll talk a bit more, some more slides now, is the skilled worker route, which was previously known as the Tier 2. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. Then there's the student visa route, which was previously Tier 4. And from that, at the moment, you can still go on to apply for the doctorate extension scheme if you're studying a PhD, but that is going to change now. Like I said, that will stop when the graduate route comes in. And then we've got the Tier 5. There are subcategories within the Tier 5. So if you're interested in, there's like a creative and sporting, charity workers, religious workers. There's also a government authorised exchange and a youth mobility scheme. So I haven't gone into detail there because there's information on the website for you to have a look at there. And it's I think with that, it's a case of, if you're looking at a particular type of those subcategories, it's just worth contacting us and we can advise you a little bit on that. We don't specialise in the visa routes, for working, but we can help you to a certain extent, and especially with, if you're interested in like going on to work with, like I said, the skilled worker route, we can advise to a certain extent, but we don't specifically specialise in that. Okay, and the EE and Swiss nationals and family. So again, to keep working rights, like Kaylee was saying, if you've been in the UK before the end of December, then we would say to apply for the EU settlement scheme, so you can able to keep your working rights. There is also a scheme for Turkish workers. Again, I've put the gov.uk website there because it just explains it quite clearly there, and it's the information is there. And then we've got I've just put there just for you to be aware of, there's the UK ancestry visa and the marriage visa. So this just to give you an idea of all the different types of visa routes. I'll go on to now which was known as the Tier 2, which is now the skilled worker route. Okay, so this skilled worker route is very new. As I said, it was launched 1st of December 2020, previously known as Tier 2. So with this route, we're still getting to grips with the new changes on it, actually, because it is very new. It looks very similar in lots of ways to how the Tier 2 were, but there are some changes. So in order to apply into the skilled worker route, you need sponsorship by a licensed employer to do a specific job that meets minimum levels of skill and salary. So most people who apply in the UK to switch from a Tier 4 or student visa to the skilled worker route, and many former UK students who apply later in their home country, are considered as what they call new entrant under the skilled worker rules. There's they call it tradable points, and you become, for most students, you would come under the new entrant. This means they can meet a lower minimum salary than other applicants. Now I've put a link there to the appendix for skilled worker, and I've just put there in paragraph 4.2. So there's all information about there and about the minimum level depending on the job and the minimum wage and what's required. So all of that is in that list there. Okay, so when to apply for the Tier 2? So your deadline for applying in the UK to switch into the skilled worker route is the expiry date of your current permission. So as long as you apply by, before your visa expires, then you're okay. You're legally covered while that application is being decided. Applying in your home country for a skilled worker visa, it no longer has the extra requirements for employers that the old Tier 2 route had. So this is one of the benefits now of the change. So there used to be a resident labour market test, and there was also the restriction of the certificates of sponsorships. So that has now been abolished on the 1st of December. So when this route came in, those are the changes. So it makes it easier to apply back home. And actually, because of the current situation, that's quite beneficial if you are, you're running out of time to apply in the UK and you need to apply back home. You must be sponsored by an employer with a skilled worker licence. So again, I've put the link there of the registered of licensed sponsors workers, and this is updated daily, this list. Okay, so the key points for which was formerly the tier 2, which is now the skilled worker. So you require sponsorship by a licensed employer. The wage level, so the absolute I've put the minimum there because it varies. I've put a link there to the skilled occupations. It does vary, but for a new entrant, the absolute minimum would be 20,480 if the students are 26 and younger. English language requirements, so there is that requirement, but if you've got a degree level qualification from the UK, you would meet that requirement. There's no evidence of maintenance, which is your money to show you can live in the UK. If you are applying in the UK and you've been living here with a valid visa for at least 12 months, and this is the same if you've got any dependents who are applying. So this is one of the big changes as well, which is beneficial, is that you don't need to submit any financial evidence if you've been studying in the UK and you've got a valid visa and been here for 12 months. If applying outside the UK, then there is the requirement, which is 1,270 minimum of 28 days. Or if your employer is showing that they are going to be funding you, then they can show evidence of that. If you apply in the UK to switch to the skilled worker route, it's important that you must that you don't travel until the outcome of that application, because if you do leave the UK and your application is pending, then that will actually be withdrawn then. So you'd have to make that application again when you return to the UK. There's the link there for you, ukisa.org.uk. There's a whole section on work after your studies, and it's got links there and blogs, and it's worth visiting that because it talks about all the different visa routes, not just the skilled worker route and the graduate entrepreneur, but the other ones I haven't gone into so much detail about. And there's also a link there to the Gov website there, so that will show you more information on the skilled worker, which was known as the Tier 2. Okay, and then I've just got here, I know at the moment we're all working remotely from home, but when we are able to go back into the office, it's just for you to know where we're based. So we're based in Singleton and at Bay. At Singleton campus, we're based in Keir Hardy building, which is opposite the library. And at Bay campus, we are based in the Bay Tower, so the big tower. We're based there where my uni hub is. And we, before we all were working remotely from home, we'd have regular drop-ins. What we're doing at the moment, because we're not able to offer the face-to-face drop-ins is we have a chat facility, obviously email as well, but we have an online chat on certain days. So if you go to our link here, international.campuslife, it'll show you what days we have our online chat, and it'll also have the link there. So if you have any queries, you can log on, and there's always one advisor who will be on at that time that is advertised. And I think that sort of covers everything. I know it's a lot of information in a short space of time. So, if you've got, I can see some people have been putting some questions in. So I'm not sure, Theresa, do you want us to answer questions now? I know there's a question session later, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, I mean, you've still got about 20 minutes. So I'm happy for you to take questions now.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So I'll just go into the chat just to see. Okay, and we'll go through some of these. Okay, so we've got one question about for the graduate route visa. So new PhD students start in 2021 and finish after that, or current PhD students when they finish. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was thinking if Aya wanted to speak up and ask the question.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Aya, are you here?
Hi.
Hiya.
Hello. My question is, before I see your great presentation, I was told from friends like it's you have to be new entry to the UK before I think before or within 2021 to do. It's like new PhD students starting from 2021, not like I am. It's my second year PhD, so I'm asking about whether I will be eligible for this when I finish for this work study after graduation visa, or I'm not eligible for that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should. So it's coming in from 2021, but it's for those who are starting. So as long as they've studied their final semester here before they finish. So if you've already started, obviously you have to complete, and then you will be eligible to apply for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Aya. And thanks, Fiona, for answering that.
Okay.
The next question from Liza. Do international Serbs who graduated in 2020 and who will finish their contract in 2021, still under Tier 4, be granted the extra 2 years with the graduate immigration route?
Okay, so we're looking at that now. So graduating in 2020, finish contract 2021.
Yeah, like the sabbatical one, so if you're elected as a sabbatical officer in 2020 and your contract's due to end in 2021,
yeah,
will we be eligible for that?
And yeah, that's a good question, because I think with the graduate route, we still haven't got all of the details of what it's sort of quite vague in what they're telling us at the moment. I think we might have to wait a little bit more to see what else is published, but I mean, you're still under, as you said, you're under the Tier 4 until 2021, aren't you? So
yeah,
and then it's whether it's the only worry I'd have there was because of the graduation is 2020, so it would be before 2021. But I think we just need a little bit more clarification on it, because not all the policy has been published, and there'll be so much detail in that. So I'm sorry I can't answer that yet, but I think we just have to wait. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Janatun asks, no, she's asking for the conference. Liza again asks, what is the minimum salary under the tier 2 route generally? I think you may have covered that, but
Yeah, so that was in I haven't got it on in my top of my head 'cause it's new.
I'll check now.
Yes, sorry, Caleb checking. It's the absolute minimum I put, but it does depend on the job that you're applying for.
Okay. No, sorry, I did type that before I saw it on the slide, so I did catch it on the slide there. I
Oh,
think it
that's
was
okay. No, that's
20,000,
all right.
The minimum is 20,480.
Yeah.
There we are.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so that's the absolute minimum from what I could see, but it does vary, you know. Yeah.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Can you explain more on the EU settlement scheme? Marie Larissa, would it be okay for you to schedule maybe an appointment, or Fiona, do you mind going over it briefly, or do you want to schedule an appointment with the student?
No, I can go over EU if you like, just quickly.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, oh, fab. Thanks, Kaz.
So it's an online application. It's free to apply, but you need to have been in the UK before the 30th of December 2020. So, Marie, are you in the UK at the moment?
Yes, I am.
And did you arrive here before the 30th of December?
Yes, I arrived on the 30th of October.
Ah, right, okay. If you can put your student number in the chat for me, what I will do is I'll email you the links.
Okay.
You can have a read through of the full information, and then if you've got any questions, then you can come back to me. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for that, Kaylee. Olga asked, can a dependent, my husband, look for a job if I get graduate route visa?
Yeah. Yeah, I think on this one, again, you know, we haven't got full details and clarity, but my assumption would be that if you're, because your dependent's already been here as a student dependent and as a dependent able to apply for jobs, then the same would apply because they're still going to be here as your dependent, just on the graduate route. So I would have thought yes, but we'll, you know, once we get more information on that, we'll be putting it on our website as well.
Thank you very much, Fiona. I hope that answers your question, Olga. Someone
you.
also, okay, thank you. Someone also asked, many sponsored job applications ask whether you have the right to work in the UK. How do we go about this when applying for jobs when most international students don't have a right to work before actually acquiring a job?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know that comes up a lot when we've done sessions with careers actually, and we've done joint sessions together. And I know that they've advised before, because I suppose because as a student you can work if you're on the student visa, but you're restricted to the hours you can work. So I think if you tick that you can work, and then in the additional notes when you're writing, you can explain that you're currently on the student visa and you're restricted to these hours, but you know that you're obviously applying for this job, looking to switch into the skilled worker route or whichever visa you're looking into switching, because you can actually work full-time, like Kaylee mentioned when she went through her slides, after you've completed all your studies. Any leave that you've got left until your leave expires, you can work full-time. So you do have that right to work. It's just as long as you keep to those restrictions.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Did anyone else want to ask the questions?
Yeah, probably I would like to ask,
Okay,
Olga, if I'm going to write a dissertation starting from July or June, if I'm not mistaken, can I also find a job during this period, or it is expected that it is also a semester and I have to, and I can work only 20 hours a week?
Yeah, hi Olga. Yeah, it does mean actually that while you're doing any studying, whether it's working on dissertation or anything like that, it would count that you're currently in term time, you know, not outside of term time. So you have to keep to those restrictions then, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And another question. So if I already passed all the exams and finished my education in September, can I also find a job or apply for a job having my visa that is going to expire only in January 2022? So is it okay, or I need to make some documents or switchers or anything else, because I don't really know how it usually works.
Yeah, no, you are right. Yeah, once you've completed, as long as you've you're completed, everything is done, you are then eligible to have, so it's usually students who've been here for studying for 12 months. They usually have 4 months they should have at the end of their when their course finishes, and in that 4 months, as long as you're not needing to sort of repeat anything or resubmit anything, then you're classed as outside of term time, so you can then work full time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Did anyone else want to speak up now? Or you can type in the chat privately to me as well. Okay, someone's asked, would Swansea graduates have access to the careers/employability support after graduating and while living under 2 years postgraduate route? Fiona, would you know that, or Kaylee?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I would have thought that that there would still be support though available. Yeah, you know, because I think that currently they do support you know, even after graduating. So I'm assuming they would, but it'd just be worth checking with them if they, you know, what support they can still offer.
So Jojo Rose, who's the Societies and Services Officer, has just confirmed that you do for at least 4 months.
Oh, for 4
That's
months.
helpful.
Okay.
Amazing.
Good.
If there are no more questions, I'd just like to thank Fiona and Kaylee for their time this afternoon. Thank you so much. That was a very insightful presentation. Thank you very much. Don't worry, it's been recorded. We would be sending the recordings out so you can go over things again. You can go grab a tea, grab, you know, a cup of coffee, grab something, biscuits for the next session, and we would be starting at 2:05. So please come back. We've got a whole lot for you. So there will be a lot of opportunities within Student Union that other people would be going over. So please don't miss that. See you in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't have your cameras on, you can just signal in the chat or use a thumbs up to let me know you're here. Looks like someone's having a party. I kind of, right. We'll just wait like 1 more minute to allow people to join if they went out. How's everyone feeling about conference so far? All good, insightful, informative? Thanks, Liza. I feel encouraged. Comfort. Thank you. Okay, right, we'll just get to it now. So the next item on our agenda is opportunities within the Student Union. So I thought it would be good to bring this to you, just because a lot of students just ask, you know, what can I do while studying, or what can I do after my studies? So Thomas and Alana will be Thomas, Alana and Lewis will be presenting on different opportunities within the Students' Union. So yeah, take it away.
Okay, fabulous. Hi everyone, my name is Thomas Watson. I'm a Student Voice Coordinator at the Students' Union. I do apologise if you can't really understand me. I've had some retainers fitted this week, so getting used to them. I'm just going to cover the student rep system, which I co-run with Theresa, and then I'm going to hand over to Lou, who are going to talk about kind of wider things. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. Why is it doing that? Okay, so I'm just going to discuss with you really what the rep system is, what it does, and how you can get involved with it. So what the rep system is really is a partnership between the Students' Union and the university. And we work with our reps to kind of co-create things when it comes to kind of their learning and their environment in which they learn and all the things that go on in campus. You know, it's huge, and it's been described as kind of like a bridge between the university and students. So how it works. I'm just going to kind of go over this diagram here and just explain to you how it operates on a daily basis. So we've got, this is outdated now, we've probably got around 20,000 students here at Swansea, of all different levels, from undergraduate, foundation to kind of PGR students, so postgraduate research students. And each of those student groups have a subject rep representing them in different areas. So if you were a management year 2 student, you'd have a rep. If you were a English student in year 1, you'd have a rep. So each of those groups are represented by those students. Now those students represent you and gather your feedback and take that to kind of meetings, but they also get involved with kind of wider projects that people like Theresa, who's your education officer, will bring to them and give them opportunities to give their voice when it comes to kind of the wider stuff that happens around the university. So everything operates within this, and you've also kind of got these college rep roles, which will look at kind of college level things, you know, that can look at their like learning and teaching environments within kind of a specific college. So what is rep? A rep in a nutshell is someone who gathers feedback. You know, they're there to kind of co-create and learn with their students. They're not there to kind of teach them anything. You're not there to kind of, you know, take the register or anything of that sort. As a student rep, you're there to kind of just gather that feedback and to engage with your kind of learning community, and then pass the discussion and feedback on to not only kind of the Students' Union to implement within the kind of the campaigns and the things we run, such as this international conference today, but other the activities and things within the school as well, kind of how they're learning, how they're teaching, and maybe even down to kind of the things like examples that they're using. Are the examples used a bit too Eurocentric, do you feel? Do you feel like they need to be using examples of countries around the world in the work and the things they're presenting? So it's really, really wide ranging in what you'd be doing. So what's in it, people always ask them kind of, okay, you're going to give me this opportunity and you're going to get quite a lot of feedback out of it. What are we going to get out of it? So there's a whole host of things I won't go through, but they're kind of on this slide here of kind of skills that you'll gain. But it's just the main thing that we get back from our reps is the fact that they just like the fact that they're involved and their voices are being heard on a kind of a wide scale. You know, this university is huge, and to be a part of the rep system, you kind of get involved with that, and you get to share these opportunities with like-minded people, and you get to help shape and scope what we do and how we do that. for students. So it's a really kind of cool thing to be involved with. You're like one cog in a huge, massive chain, which you can be a part of. So how you can apply for these kind of positions. If you're in a kind of like a September cohort, elections go on every kind of end of September to beginning of October. That'll be advertised through the Students' Union, but also through your colleges, and they'll be getting in touch. Now, if you're a January entry cohort, we've got elections ongoing at the moment. Now, nominations closed today, so I know that's really short notice, but they've been going on for a number of weeks now. So if you are interested, please just get in touch with me. And if you have got any questions on that, because I know that was quick fire, because I just want to be as quick as possible to allow Lewis and Alana some time, please just ask at the end of the presentation. So I'm just going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to give Lewis and Alana the floor.
Thanks, Thomas. Hello, everyone. Nice to see so much engagement with the conference. My name's Alana, and I work with Thomas, Lewis, Theresa, Liza, and Georgia Rose on the Student Voice, well, on the Students' Union team, and myself and Lewis and Tom work specifically within the Student Voice team. Lou, do you mind sharing the PowerPoint that we'll go from?
No problem at all. I may have to knock my camera off in a second because classic 2021, our internet's not very good and I might get kicked off Zoom, and the only thing that makes it work is knocking my video off. So if when we get started, if my screen goes dark, you know why.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
There we go. Thumbs up if we can see it.
Yeah, I can see it all.
Lovely.
Good. Thanks, Lou. So this section, obviously, Thomas has given you an overview of the rep elections. The other election that we currently have going on at the moment is our elections for full-time and part-time officers, and we specifically wanted to get involved with the international conference because we'd love to see a drive of international students' voices and international student representation within our full-time and part-time officer elections. So we're just going to give you a run through of what the full-time officer roles look like, what the part-time officer roles look like. We've also got a kind of a role model, which is from Mahaboob, who works within the university, who was heavily involved within this SU a few years back. So just to give you an idea of what can be achieved within an officer capacity. Lewis, if you skip to the next slide for me. So the agenda for today, or for our presentation, is what is an elected officer. So we'll be going over full-time and part-time officers, and I'll be covering that section. Lewis will be covering previous officer achievements. So again, what people have achieved within officer roles. We've got our role model, who is Mahaboob, and we'll just be detailing what he did within his capacity as an officer and now what he does in his working life now. And then we'll be touching upon how the SU supports international students who do take up a full-time officer position. So on the next slide, thanks, Lewis. What is an elected officer? So there are 6 full-time officer positions available in this round of elections, and it's important to note that these are full year commitments and they are paid. So the 6 full-time positions up for grab start with a salary of over £19,000. These positions shape the future of the union and university life and are great for students graduating this year or anyone who wants to take a year out from their studies. Again, it's important to note that it is a full year commitment. So if you are graduating and this is your final year, you can definitely apply. If you're in kind of halfway through your studies or you're a year into your studies, you can definitely take a year out and apply for the role. You just need to be aware that obviously you need to be available for the year of the year that the role demands. Full-time officer positions are demanding full-time jobs which students undertake either once they've graduated or they take a year out. They lead the union and liaise with university and ensure students' needs rest at the centre of what we do. So they are elected as student representatives. The 6 different positions cover a variety of different kind of parts or demographics of student life. So we've got the president, who sits as the lead of the team, if you like. We've got education, and obviously Theresa's our current education officer. We've got welfare, and Liza's our current welfare officer. Societies and services, and Georgia Rose is our current societies and services. Welsh affairs, which is a role that's been in post for 2 years now, which has been going really successfully. And the last one is sports. So they kind of liaise with our sports clubs and sports members. So yeah, just a really great opportunity to get get a really great graduate job basically. And there's a lot of support from the SU and the university to help the people in post have kind of the most fulfilling and amazing year with us in the SU. And it is a role that you can rerun for, so you can in theory be in post for 2 years if you were to be elected in 2 years in a row, as Theresa is an example of this. If we skip forward, Lou, to the next one. Thank you. So currently we do actually have 16 part-time officers who they're voluntary roles, but we're electing 12 in at the moment. The other 4 will be elected at the start of the next academic year, so that'll be in October time now. So we've got 12 voluntary part-time officer positions up for grabs in this round of elections. The part-time officers play a crucial role in engaging with various different groups of students and hold the full-time officers to account. They also work quite closely with full-time officers on any specific campaigns that they're interested in, or they can run campaigns off their own back from their own interests. As I said, they are voluntary roles, so they aren't paid, unfortunately, and they're meant to be done alongside studies. So it's the time commitment is basically what you can afford to give to the role, considering, you know, your kind of academic and also social lives as well. Part-time officers volunteer their energy and time to run campaigns to improve the conditions of the union and the university as a whole. It's an amazing opportunity for personal development, and the role is here accredited. So you would get either bronze, silver or gold award for this kind of voluntary commitment, and it allows you to be involved and do something more meaningful beyond yourself. So it's really a kind of a great voluntary role for anyone who wants to be more involved in the SU and more involved with student representation alongside, you know, other opportunities like the rep system. I'm going to pass over to Lewis now, who's going to give you some examples of some previous officer achievements.
Yeah, thanks, Alana. Hi everyone. As Alana mentioned, I'm Lewis and I work in the Student Voice team with Thomas and Alana. I have responsibilities for communications and campaigns, so I end up working with a lot of the full-time and part-time officers, helping them with getting the word out about what they're doing basically. So what I wanted to touch on was some officer achievements from recent years and then some further years ago as well. Every officer will come out with their highlights, something they've done, and we just cherry picked a few that we noticed. Some are from the International Students Officer, and then others are from other officer roles. So the first one is this conference. As it started last year, I think it started last year, with Theresa and Mauna, who was the International Students Officer then, wanting to give a platform and an opportunity for fellow international students to meet and network and find out what support is available to them. And it was really successful last year in person, and well, I hope it's been really successful again this year virtually. Similarly, celebrating International Students Day, quite a recent one. This is something that we did this year with Comfort, who's your current International Students Officer. I remember with Comfort, it was originally going to be a single day of activities, spreading the good word about what international students bring to Swansea, and there ended up being so much stuff to cover that it was the full week in the end. So yeah, well done Comfort, and hopefully we continue with that campaign next year and for many years to come. Also, there was banning Saturday exams. This happened when I was a student at Swansea, came in about 6 years ago now. when I used to be able to have an exam on a Saturday afternoon, and it didn't feel very nice. So the education officer at the time and the other full-time officers lobbied the university, and through the channels they'd managed to get Saturday exams completely stopped. And then just in weekdays now, which is a lot more manageable, gives you a couple of days break in between sometimes, and was especially helpful for parents and carers. More recent example was the no detriment policy, which Theresa and the other team of the full-time officers, as well as Thomas, have put in amazing work into to get this in place. Last year and sort of stretching into now this year. That's something I'm sure Theresa will take as a big achievement when she leaves her role at the end of the year. Another example from when I was a student, the library being 24 hours. When I started, it closed at I think 10, and some students were saying that it's very much in student culture sometimes to pull an all-nighter to get your exams, your assignments done. So the library being 24 hours was a big positive to just having a good working environment for if you have to do that. And again, that was something led by the education officer at the time, but was supported by the whole officer team to get through with the university and the state department. And now we all get to enjoy the library at 3 in the morning. And then another very recent example that our current team worked really hard to achieve was the dockyard. Didn't know what we'd be able to do, for freshers with all of the restrictions. The officer team pulled student feedback, fed it back into the union, into the university, secured funding, and managed to get the dockyard, which allowed students, new and returning students, to have an experience with their flatmates in September in the good weather when we were in a bit of a better position. And I think, again, the whole team will be very proud of this achievement, and so they should be. So the point of that, these examples are to show you that you can make these very big changes that affect a lot of students, and affect, you know, students after you've gone. As I say, with the Saturday exams, the library, these are things that were in place when I was a student a few years ago and are still going now, and I think very glad that they are still going. So my next little bit to talk about is one of our role models. So this is a bit of our sort of campaign material to promote the elections this cycle, looking at some of the past achievements of officers and what their skills they've learned from being an officer and how it's got them to where they are now. So this is Mahabub Basha. He was a part-time officer just over 10 years ago when he started, originally doing Welsh affairs, back when that was a part-time position. He then moved on to the race equality officer, then onto the maturing postgraduate student officer, and then he then went and became the international and overseas student officer, which at the time was a full-time officer position. So Mahabub says that after finishing his term as an officer, he went and worked for the university, and has been there since, and he's worked his way up now in the to be as the Internal Relations and Engagement Officer for the Energy Safety Research Institute. He started as that, and now he is the External Relations and Engagement Manager. So he's a very active member still of the university community, and is very much still regularly pops into our offices when we were able to, and still is very engaged with the student movement. And his thoughts about being an SU officer were that, as we've said already, that it gives you a chance to represent your peers and bring about the changes you'd like to see. One of the messages that we're sort of trying to hammer home to students, particularly in this select, that be the change you want to see. This year at Swansea has, you know, in the last 12 months, has made students aware of what they think is maybe needs to be done to make their time more, make their experience better. And you're the best person to do that change. So please, if you have something you think needs changing, this is your best opportunity to get that actioned. He also went on to say that you get to learn new skills about negotiation and all about confronting challenges, and it's one of those those are both key skills that employers are looking for and will be valuable skills forever for you to learn, really. So he goes on to say, furthermore, you will make loads of friends who stay with you for the rest of your life. Again, I'm sure the current team will agree with that, that the relationships you make while you're an officer with your fellow officers, whether they're full-time or part-time, are certainly long-lasting and will hopefully go on and benefit you for many years to come. So that's Mahaboob. He's just one example of an officer that has gone on to do great things and how being an officer has helped him. Keep an eye on our socials next week, and there'll be a few more popping up, I'm sure, for you to get some inspiration from. So I'll hand you back to Alana now, just to cover the next couple of slides.
Thanks, Lewis. So I think obviously it's kind of important when we're talking about international students applying for these roles, because I guess one of the biggest questions is visa, because that can be kind of a difficult thing to think about in terms of, it's a procedure and it's not always easy and to know what to do. So how does the SU support international students? So your SU, the Students' Union, will provide full support with your visa application and will pay for the visa for you. So information and support is also provided through International Campus Life. So it's important to remember that, we don't in any way want any kind of trepidation around the visa process to stop any international student from applying for a full-time officer role, because the aim is to make it as easy for you as a home student would be applying for the role as well. So we just wanted to kind of emphasize specifically that the Students' Union would offer full support and also pay for the visa if you were to be elected as a full-time officer. Again, with the part-time officer roles, these are obviously voluntary positions, so there's no kind of procedure for that really, apart from working alongside the student union team and full-time officers. And again, it's just to emphasize both positions, either part-time or full-time, offer you a great opportunity to get your ideas and voices heard. As Lewis mentioned with International Conference, this initially came from discussions from Theresa, Liza, and it was Comfort as well. I think, forgive me if I've missed, oh no, Mauna, sorry, because it was last year, who was the international officer. So these kind of great ideas that, become annual events within the SU calendar stem from initial feedback and ideas from officers, either part-time or full-time. So yeah, we think it's a great opportunity, and the Students' Union and Student Voice team in particular, in relation to the elections, are here to answer all your questions or any issues that you may have in relation to what the process will look like and how it will potentially look like for you. So the last slide is just a final plug for encouraging you to stand. I think someone's wanting to come in for the session. So yeah, so obviously on this slide, it shows you here that the dates for nomination, it's kicked off on the 25th of January, and the nomination period ends on the 19th of February. So it's within this period now that you've got to kind of pop on our website, which is listed on the graphic here, swansea-union.co.uk/voice/elections. So if anyone is interested in nominating yourselves for either a part-time role or a full-time role, you can do so on that link or on that website. And again, if there's any questions, you feel free to ask us in the next kind of 10 minutes. We're open to answer any questions you have, or even if you don't kind of think of anything right away, just email us at student.voice and we can answer any questions that you have as well. If you do stand in the elections, it's important to note that you'll get a lot of emails and information regarding the next few steps of the process, because the results night for the elections will be March 12th, which is quite a way off now. So there's kind of a few steps involved with the elections. But yeah, that's all from us in terms of what we wanted to cover within the PowerPoint. So could we open up to questions, Theresa, or if anyone wants to pop anything in the chat if they don't want to unmute themselves?
Yeah, thank you very much, Thomas, Lewis, and Alana. Thank you so much for that. Did anyone have any question? Please shoot now. And just to also note on the visa issue, Campus Life will support you through the whole process. But if you're thinking of running as a full-time, for the full-time position, you would also need to have a maintenance grant. What's it called, Liza? I can't remember what it's called, but a certain amount of money in your account.
Yeah, essentially it's to prove that you can actually sustain yourself for about, I think, a month before you actually get into the role. It's over £2,000 and you need to keep it in your account for about a month, and then you'd be able to get into the whole visa process.
Yeah, but don't worry about that now. Campus Life will reach out to you. I didn't know about it until I needed to sort out my visa anyway, so don't worry too much about it for now.
Yeah, I heard about it last minute, so just keep it in mind, I think.
Okay, did anyone have any question? You can send it to me privately and I can read it out anonymously, or you can just unmute yourself and ask. I'm not sure, I can't see people's hands. Thomas.
I've got one thing that I'd just like to add though, if that's okay. In terms of kind of the rep positions and stuff that we've got going on, you know, every single position that is in the university applies to you, you know, as an international student. We want you to be involved. We want your voices to be heard. And for us to be able to do that, the best way is to get involved with us. Sometimes, obviously, I can't imagine what it's like going to another country and then studying and then putting yourself out there. But I would really encourage you to try and get as involved as possible, so we can help support you as best as we can. That's my little.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And someone's just asked, how many years can I be a SAB? So you can, according to the Student Union governance, you can only run twice. So you would have to rerun. If you're elected first, you'd have to rerun if you wanted to get into the position again, if I'm correct, Alana and Lewis.
Yeah, that's, oh, sorry, Lou. That's absolutely correct, Theresa. So yeah, you can run, and if you're elected, you can rerun for a second year. And then also if you do run and you don't get it and you're still a student, you can rerun for the next year as well. But yeah, the maximum you could do is 2 consecutive years as an officer, and you can rerun for the same position or for a different position. It's completely up to you, basically.
Thank you very much. Honestly, I can't tell you how much, you know, this role has contributed to my employability, but just me as a person, I have learned a lot from the role and I've gained a lot as well. And I'm sure Liza and Jojo Rose, as well as Comfort, can testify to that. Don't worry, I haven't been paid to say this. So someone's asked, what visa will I be on when as a sabbatical officer? So
oh, sorry, Theresa.
yeah, don't worry, I can take it. So you'll be on a tier 4 visa. Someone's asked, what is the best position to run for? Alana, Lewis?
That's a tricky one, or a contentious one. I think it's really up to you and where your interests lie. Because as I said, we've got like the welfare role, which is, you know, if you're particularly keen on like mental health provisions or well-being generally, it might be something that is of interest to you. If you're a sports kind of person, you're heavily involved in sports clubs, there's obviously the sports position. Welsh affairs, if, you know, you do need to be a Welsh speaker though, don't you, Thomas, in order to run for the Welsh affairs role. What else do we have? Education. It really depends on where your interests lie and where you feel like you've got a good kind of grasp of it already. So it depends as well what you'd like to achieve within the role. If your goals are specifically around you know, more academic matters, then education would be a good fit. Yeah, I'd say it definitely depends on what you where your interests lie, basically, in relation to the 6 different roles. And then obviously the part-time roles, again, it's where your interests lie. We do obviously have an international part-time officer role specifically. But you know, they've got mental health, we've got LGBT. I wouldn't say there's one that's better than the other. It is much more about, you know, where you feel you could be best used, basically, and your skills be relevant.
Thank you very much for that, Alana. And yeah, even as an international student, you can run for any position at all, regardless of where you've come from. So yeah. So someone's asked, what are the benefits of the job and what type of work will I do? Alana, Lewis?
The benefits of the job, I mean, it's a great opportunity for graduates, because, you know, graduate jobs are a difficult field anyway. I'd say, you know, it's highly competitive, and you do have a big bonus of having a lot of support coming into a new full-time position, just stepping outside of university. You know, a lot of responsibilities. You do have to adapt to professional world work quite quickly. Actually, do any job though. There's, I think, the benefit over this job, over say going into kind of a bigger corporation or a corporate company, is that you do have a very localized set of internal teams within the student union that really support you and really kind of give you as much help as can to in order to do the role. Can people hear that?
Yeah, you're cutting out really bad. You're sounding really bad.
Oh, if I'll
yeah.
try and, can you hear clearer now?
Yeah, that's better.
I'll touch upon really quickly what I said. I basically just said it's a really supported role, and I was saying if you compare it going into a graduate job in like a huge corporation, for example, there's not going to be half as much help as there is in like localized teams within the student union to make your switch from from university student life to professional work as comfortable. And you know, you're given a huge responsibility as an FTO specifically, a full-time officer. So you have to learn quite quickly. So it gives you an opportunity to challenge yourself, but also step into the world of work with a lot of support around you and a lot of help, I'd say.
Thank you very much, Alana. T, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not often in a first job that you'll get the level of responsibility that you will get, and going into something like that then stands you in good stead when you're going on into kind of that world of work in the global world of work that we are in now. So, you know, being the student for your particular area in an institution with 23,000 students is no mean feat. Obviously, you'll be extremely supported, but having that on your CV is really, really good.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Honestly, I can't even overemphasize it, because then you don't just get to, you know, work within the university alone. You also get to work within government, you know, have government level conversations as well. So it's probably the best job in the world. But yeah, now we have come to 20 minutes to 3. Oh, someone's asking the question. Okay, don't worry about that. So we've not come to 20 minutes to 3. I'll just say maybe we can take a break, maybe a 5-minute refresher, and then come back for our last session, which is welfare support available to international students. So please don't run away, please come back. But yeah, go have a stretch, grab a cup of tea, go for a toilet break or something. See you in a bit.
So I'll start off by saying, who are we? So I know in the last session that we had, the officers there had spoken about what the Students' Union's about, certain aspects of the Students' Union, and I'm not going to go too in depth in this session, but I'm just going to describe who exactly us as officers are. So here we've got our full-time officers list. I am one of them. This is me over here looking a lot better than I am today, but we're essentially 6 democratically elected officers who all have different experience.
Liza,
To discuss why is it important to talk about international student welfare. Hello?
go back, babe. You
Hello?
cut out.
Can you hear me? Okay.
You
When did I cut
didn't
out?
you said you have to right after you said that you look good in the photo. We couldn't hear you after that.
Sorry, that was a lot of vanity there. I'm sure the internet services were kind of like, nope, not today. So essentially, we're 6 democratically elected officers, and we work to better the students' experience, essentially. So I'm going to get into a bit more on what we do later on to support students. But for the meantime, we're going to discuss why it's important for us to speak about international student welfare. So we as an institution work a lot with international students, and we've kind of pinpointed that international students don't utilize our well-being and welfare services as much as they should, especially because international students naturally have a higher susceptibility to poor mental health. So why do we have a higher susceptibility to poor mental health? A huge aspect of this is stigma. So I know a lot of us from home countries, it's not the most comfortable discussion to speak about mental health, and we bring that kind of aspect over to the UK, and we continue with those types of traits. So some of the little quotes that we have here, like the most common things that we hear when we ask international students about why they don't access mental health services. So the first one we have here is, we don't speak about this in my home country. So just to address this and kind of destigmatize this, the UK is a completely different playing field when it comes to mental health. There's a lot of support here. There's a lot of people that want you to actually access help, because there's a huge understanding on how mental health affects your day-to-day living, learning, whatever it may be. The second quote we have here is, I don't want my family to know. So just to quote this, unless you're underage or if you're at high risk of hurting yourself or hurting somebody else, we keep all the information that you provide us extremely confidential. We wouldn't share it with anyone unless you gave us the permission to do so, besides those specific reasons I've specified before. So now we'll go on to why breaking a stigma is really important. So we need to break stigmas because we have a higher susceptibility to poor mental health. So there's a lot of aspects that affect our mental health, and this is inclusive of stigmas, but also inclusive of different learning methods when you come to the UK versus out of your home country, attempting to make new friends, especially I think this is a huge thing during COVID, because it's become a lot more hard and difficult to make friends. Adapting to a new climate. I'm sorry, but it is cold over here. It's always cloudy. It's not enjoyable. A different time zone and adapting to that. So kind of like Sean, I don't know how you're managing, but it's amazing. And other things like language barriers, moving away from friends and family, and how that may affect your communication thereafter. So I think the first step to bettering international student mental health is to understand the support that's available to you. So I know you literally just saw a picture of us before, but I'm going to kind of guide you through who exactly we are as full-time officers, the remits that we have, and how we can support international students. So I'll start from the left, which is myself. So I'm the welfare officer, and I do a lot of work helping underrepresented groups within the university, and this is inclusive of international students. So a lot of the work that I've been doing currently is very centered around international students. It feels like I'm almost always talking about international students at this point. Then we have Katie, who is our Welsh Affairs officer. So Katie can help international students in bettering their access to the Welsh language, considering that we are Welsh University and the culture is very ingrained in this university as well. We also have next Georgia Smith. So she's our sports officer, and usually during normal times you'll be able as international students to join a sports team, to be able to engage with other students, become active, whatever that may be. Then we have our president Theon. So Theon essentially is the voice that reaches the highest level of the university. While we all do meet high people in the university, she's kind of the main voice. So she takes things to the highest level and sometimes to government as well. Then we have Theresa. I'm sure you're tired of seeing her face. You've been seeing it for 2 days in a row. But Theresa is our education officer, and she can help international students in many ways, actually. She holds a very important part because if you go back to what I had said before, there is an adaptation for international students when they come here to the way that we learn, the way things are taught here, what is expected of us academically, and Theresa can kind of help you through that process. She can also help you with your academic mentors, student reps, all of the above. Then we have Georgia Rose, who is our Societies and Services Officer. She's held quite a big role with international students this year specifically, and I'll go into that a bit later. We also have our 16 part-time officers, as Alana had mentioned before in the previous session. We have 16 part-time officers. The most important to you is our international part-time officer, Comfort, who I believe is here as well. I'm not sure if you want to say hi, not sure if I should just continue, but Comfort does a lot of work with international students. She essentially takes the student voice of international students to higher levels within the university. So the first step, back again to this, the steps to find the right support for you. So it's really difficult, I do believe, to maintain your faith standards when you come to Swansea University, especially this year, being that our chaplaincies and all of that are closed. Nevertheless, we have faith in cultural services and faith in cultural societies. So societies are playing a huge role in maintaining faith throughout this really desperate period. So here I've just put 2 screenshots of our page. So to the left are our faith societies, and to the right are only like a little tiny bit of our cultural societies. I'm not sure, Georgia, if you want to elaborate on how many cultural societies we have.
Yeah, we have 27 active at the moment, and there's 7 new ones that I've just approved. So in total, I can't do maths. What's that? Like 34, I think. If I can do
about that.
Around that. So we have a lot. So don't be worried if you can't see any cultural societies on there that you feel you wouldn't associate with. There are more. We just couldn't. Liza couldn't fit them all on the screenshot.
Yeah. So societies in general this year have played a really huge part in maintaining international student mental health, because this is kind of only the one and only ways of you actually meeting new people and maintaining relationships and being a part of something else outside of your actual education. So I know in the earlier session you heard from International at Campus Life. So they're literally like the one-stop shop for everything international. If you need absolutely anything in your position as an international student, that's who you should be reaching out to. They help with visa assistance, so like extending your visas, immigration, validating your UK IDs, international student activities. They've got all of that, but I'm sure they mentioned that before their previous session. The next one that we have is your GP, and this is really important for international students. I've put up the websites on most of these slides going forward at the top there. So if you do need them, just take a screenshot or whatever it may be. But accessing the GP is so huge for international students, especially because we pay for it. We actually pay to access this service, opposed to home students who actually get that service for free, which is in the form of your immigration health surcharge. So this year, it's been extremely difficult for international students, essentially anyone, to sign up to the GP, but they've gone online and you can register online on the Ask My GP tab under the website that I've provided above. So how can being signed up to the GP benefit you? So if your health is affecting your studies in any way, the GP is your go-to. In normal circumstances, to require things like extenuating circumstances and whatnot, you would have to go through your GP, and that would be the process. If you're feeling down, anxious, or stressed, you can go through them and they'll provide you some type of support. And there's a vaccine that I didn't know that I was supposed to get as an international student, because we didn't get it at home, and it is a meningitis one. And we often have outbreaks. There was an outbreak when I was a student and I didn't have the vaccine, so I just stayed at home. So please make sure to keep up with your vaccines through the GP. Again, this is all free. Well, not necessarily free because you paid for it already, but this is all free for this period of your whole studies going forward. Then we have our well-being services, and this is super important because I'll come back to what I said initially. So there is a statistic that says 1 in 4 university students suffer from some type of mental health problem during their course of university, and international students aren't international students aren't exempt from this. If anything, they're more high susceptible to getting mental health problems. So what do our well-being services offer? So it's a general stop for mental health, anything mental health and disability. They offer a wide range of resources. So I'll start with Together All. Together All is like a newly acquired resource that we've got, in which it's kind of peer-to-peer support. It's fully paid for by the university, so free to students, and you can join on any time through the website above. They also have self-help resources if you don't actually want to actually speak to someone, but you just want some quick advice. They've got all of that there. They offer well-being support. So this is kind of in the form of counseling services, therapy, mediation, whatever it may be. You go through a form on the same website that I've put above, and that form will guide you to someone who will speak to you and offer you support within 48 hours. We also have our autistic spectrum condition services as well as other disability. And then we have Connect. So I'm going to go into Connect in a little bit more detail for one specific reason. So the Connect project is a project that aims to counter international, well, not just international students, sorry, student isolation and loneliness. So a big part of this that's coming up now is the International Buddy Scheme that was introduced by your part-time officer, Comfort. It's a good way for international students to meet and to share their experiences and to have support throughout these really crazy times. So then I'll go on now to our Advice and Support Center. So this is, I think, the best service out of everything I've mentioned, purely because it's based within the Students' Union. So the Advice and Support Center, purely just reading off the page, is based on all of our 3 campuses. So our Advice and Support Center offer free, independent and confidential advice and representation to all Swansea University students. It's a confidential service run by experienced, friendly advisors who will be able to help you with any problems you may encounter, such as money worries, academic issues, housing problems, legal issues, and personal problems. So just for example's sake, I'll give you one of the academic issues that they might help you with. You may need you may be in a disciplinary for whatever reason. I hope not. I hope no one's in it. But our Advice and Support Center will guide you through the process, and they'll essentially be your right-hand person to make sure that everything's going well, you're adequately supported as an international student, so on and so forth. Then finances. This is super important, especially this year due to COVID. So with COVID, our school fees haven't changed, that's for one thing, but our economies have definitely been affected a lot, and it is harder for some international students to receive funds in the UK as of right now, just with everything going on. So what exactly do we offer as a university in regards to finances? So we have our Money at Campus Life team, and they provide information, advice, and guidance on student money related issues. So they can help you if you have financial hardship due to COVID, student funding, and if you're struggling with just financially in general. They're a really good service, and they even offer like extra services such as food vouchers if you're ever struggling to buy food, whatever it may be. Then we have My Uni Hub. So My Uni Hub has become quite an important thing for international students in the past, but more so this year. So in the past, I'm sure you'd know them through like your enrollment. You usually go through My Uni Hub. But this year, My Uni Hub has been supporting international students in the form of providing packs, in the form of like food packs and all of that type of stuff to international students who have come in and are quarantining. So the Uni Hubs team are here to help you access a wide range of university support services and to help you resolve any queries you may have. So they may help you with COVID. Sometimes if as a student, you ever get into issues where you haven't been attending class or whatever it may be, they're the scary people that you see that will tell you immigration is probably knocking at your door. And yeah, they offer so much more. So if you ever need anything as a student, this and I think international are the 2 main places for you to go to for advice. So now that I've kind of guided you through all the resources we have as a university to help you, so external sources from yourself, I think it's really important to touch on self-care, especially during this time. So something else you can do to maintain your mental health is making sure that you have a routine. I'm very guilty of not having a routine, so I'm probably not the best person to advise you on this, but time can really get away from you in isolation or in lockdown, and so you literally, I don't even know if it's Friday half the time or if it's Monday half the time, it all just feels the same. But trying to have like regular sleeping patterns, meal times, study times, whatever it may be, is really important to your mental health. And if you could include wherever possible and wherever allowed some physical activity, that would be great as well. So I think that brings me to the end of this. Thank you so much for listening in. I did try to rush around through things just so my internet wouldn't really cut out for anyone, but I hope you've kind of learned something today.
Thank you very much, Liza. Thank you for that. Did anyone have any quick question? Maybe not quick, but have you got any questions?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, I have a question about the health vaccine and the GP registration thing. So I got this email where it said that we have to bring our records of vaccination from our home country when we register with the GP, that we have to give it to them. So if for some reason, like, is that like compulsory if we don't have that record, or do we have to get that record and bring it to the GP? Do you
No,
know?
I don't believe it's necessary. I remember when the meningitis outbreak happened and I was on campus, they did ask me if I had it. I said no. They didn't ask me for proof necessarily, just said that they would rather I have it, because I don't believe being vaccinated twice actually affects you in any way. So if they do provide you with something, yeah, so you can essentially get it without putting in any type of evidence. And now you register online. So in the Ask My GP section of the website, you'd be able to register, and they just ask you for like basic information, your passport information and your visa information and all of that stuff, just to know that you paid for your IHS thing, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so that means if I paid for my IHS and if, for example, I don't have my vaccination records, then everything's going to be taken care of by the GP?
Yeah, so essentially just tell them that if you feel you haven't had the vaccination, it's more so safe to just grab it, because I know a lot of countries outside of the UK don't actually provide meningitis vaccinations.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So someone's just asked, how do I register for the GP?
So maybe it will be beneficial if I could share the website for the GP. And essentially now it's all online, so they don't want you to actually walk in the way that we used to do before. So there'll be an Ask My GP section on the website that I will share. Give me 2 seconds. Right, so on that page, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find the Ask My GP tab. And on there, you should be able to provide whatever information you may need. I think they initially, they may ask you to pay for a joining fee, but it's not as much as your immigration health surcharge in any way, but I think they might ask you for that.
Okay, would need to clarify that, just because I know I didn't have to pay for anything whilst registering, but
yeah.
Thank you very much. Also, another question. So are wellbeing services free to access?
Yes, all the university-based welfare services that I've mentioned today are completely free to access. There isn't even a long waiting list, as you may assume there may be, but it's really easy to access. They're really friendly, advisors available, and it's also really free.
I think we lost Liza there. Liza?
Oh, did you? Am I gone?
I think you probably got your point across. So all the services are free, as well as the Advice and Support Centre too. That is free, and you also have access to you have access to the CAS service. So that is the Centre for Academic Success. So they're able to go through your essays, for example, to go through, like, let's say grammar error or spelling error or anything like that. So you've got access to that, and all of that is free. Hello, Fiona. Thanks for coming back. I don't know if anyone had questions for either Liza or Fiona from International Campus Life. I'm happy for you to put unmute yourself. Marie.
Yeah, okay. I had for Liza, concerning the GP, is it that the particular sector or anywhere you register, the vaccine is free, or any other thing is free you've paid for?
So it's in Wales. The likelihood as a student is that you would probably go and register through the University Health Centre on Bay Campus. Sorry, not Bay Campus, Singleton Campus. In Wales, things like prescriptions, meetings with the GP, the same vaccination that we're speaking about, it's all free. purely because you paid your international health surcharge. I think we will need clarity on whether you need to pay to actually register to the GP, because I do think that was flagged by a student to me. But if not, then yeah, everything's purely free.
Oh, okay. Because I think I registered out of the campus. I registered somewhere else in town.
Right, was it a private hospital?
Like the normal surgeries we have around.
I'm not really sure. I might drop you an email and just find out some extra information. So you're saying they charged you?
No, it was free.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, then everything should be fine.
Okay. Then about Connect, you said something about Connect.
Yeah.
I did not really get that.
Right, so Connect is like a new organization. So I'm just not sure if you've heard about like discovery of some volunteering services within the university. So, oh, sorry, I just saw something in the chat. But Connect is essentially a project that was introduced through the government, that is a project in universities, basically Swansea University and Trinity St. David's, to combat isolation and loneliness within the student population. But then within that, Comfort, who's our international part-time officer, she introduced an international buddy scheme. So there's essentially, I can maybe share the Connect website with you, and then you can essentially meet up with other people, whatever it may be, and get to know if you're experiencing loneliness or isolation.
Okay, thank you.
Try pop the
Thank you.
website in the chat.
Okay.
No problem.
Because that's why I also joined ASC. But since I joined, nobody has said hi, hello. This is what we did last year. It has been dumb since I joined it. Since I joined the group.
Right. Yeah, I think it's been really difficult for societies to join, well, to socialize in any way this term, whatever it may be. I'm sure Georgia Rose, who's just popped back in, can elaborate for you, but I think they are trying to increase the engagement a little bit through, I think it's African Caribbean Society that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, sorry, I had to dip out. What was the question?
So Maria just spoken about how the African and Caribbean Society haven't been engaging too much. I was trying to explain how engagement has kind of been affected this year, but how the African and Caribbean Society are trying to increase their engagement going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say the ACS Society have been one of the most successful in terms of engagement. They've had a lot of new interest from members, which has been amazing. I think the trickiest thing is because of Zoom fatigue and a lot of events have had to end up being virtual. But there's a lot of things in place that the society are doing. And I'm sure that if you contacted them, is it in terms of engagement with members or in terms of like, you don't feel like there's enough events? What type of thing do you mean?
I think it will be like new members, but I think what I'd advise is maybe following their social media. So I know they're really active on Instagram, so I'd suggest following them on there, because then they post a lot of events and things like that. So if that's what you're into, Marie, I'd suggest following them on Instagram.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you very much for all your questions. Anya Bet, I'm not sure if you wanted to ask a question because your mic kept flashing. Okay, so we've got Fiona here to answer some of your visa or immigration related questions. So if you've got those, please fire on now. Someone's just asked, is there a free plagiarism check provided for PGRs? That's a good question, but you can speak to the CAS team. Let me see, I've got an email address. So it's just CAS, Center of Academic Success. They literally give like advice on anything regarding your essay. In the meantime, does anyone else have a question? I'll just put the link for CAS in the chat. They cover everything from like essays to vivas to articles. Oh, what's my internet misbehaving?
Just to note as well, before we go forward, Comfort and I worked on an international student mental health guide, which is a permanent resource on our Student Union website. So I'll drop the link to that as well if you ever need help looking for anything.
Thank you very much. So I've just popped the link in the chat, but I don't think anyone has any more questions. But anyway, you can reach out to us via emails anyway. I'll just put the link to the Student Union's website. Sorry, it's a lot of links today, but it's worth taking note of. Right, here's a link to the Student Union's website, and we've got all our email addresses there. So if you want to have a chat or just, want to ask any question at all, please let us know. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's participated today. Thank you so much for your time. Fiona and Kaylee, thank you so much for the presentation, as well as Liza, thank you so much for coming. I know you're all really busy people, but thank you so much. I hope you're able to, reach out to us in the Student Union if you have any concerns at all. But I'll just like to say bye for now, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors. But yeah, please do reach out. Don't be a stranger. Thank you so much. Comfort, did you want to say something before everyone goes? Sorry.
I want to say thanks to everyone for attending this event. I'm glad to see a lot of student engagement with this. I mean, you're helping us, because if we have this information and you guys don't engage, we wouldn't know what to do with it. So thank you for coming through, and we hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two. So have a good day.
But if you've got any feedback in terms of what you'd like to see for next time, please send an email to the email address you got your invitation to attend this event from. So yeah, just send us any feedback. If you'd like to critique the event, if there was something you didn't particularly like, please let us know. Amazing. Thank you so much. Have an amazing evening and take good care. Bye all.